It's the bookshop. It's the bookshop. It's the bookshop of Beverly Farms.
Howdy, everybody. It is Sam Franklin, your host of John Updike's Ghost, your favorite little podcast about reading, writing, literature, bookstores, all things awesome. And I am joined, as always, by my sister, the co-owner of the bookshop of Beverly Farms, an all-around awesome person, Hannah Harlow. How are you doing today, Hannah?
Good. You're joined by me, and Nibbles the cat is here too.
Nibbles the cat. There's another cat. You have a third cat now?
That's the second one. His name is
Napoleon.
morphed.
Napoleon is
Napoleon.
now Nibbles.
Yeah.
I feel bad.
Yeah,
Nibbles.
so-
That is a very bad cat name.
Well, it's better than Napoleon.
Well, Napoleon was also a bad cat name, but yes. Nibbles
Nibs.
is like a dog's name. Cats should be
Nib.
more dignified than that.
Nib, like a nib of a pen.
Okay. Something
Work in
that people
progress.
think about all the time. You can
The
name
poor
a cat. The cat doesn't come when you call it anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
All right, so maybe we need a new cat name, but we did get our emotional support chicken name.
That's
thanks
true. That's
The
true.
votes from our community.
I believe the result was Paige Turner.
Correct.
Correct. Yes. So now
So
when you come
people-
into the store, see
yeah.
the knitted emotional support chicken, which hangs out next to the portrait of John Updike last time I saw.
Currently, don't know where he's going to move. Paige might move around the store. You don't know.
You don't know. That was a sort of contest that we held. People did vote. We got like 100 votes on that. So that was great.
That's great.
My option, Pedro, lost. It was the last and worst selection. That's fine.
I was rooting for Millie, which came in right in the middle, I believe.
Yeah, Millie was good. Why don't we talk about our agenda today? I have 2 books. How many books do you have?
I also have 2 books.
Okay, so we have 4 total books. My 2 books, one of them is amazing. I can't wait to talk about it. It is called On the Calculation of Volume 1, a novel by Solvej Balle. Do you know this person?
No, I don't know what you're talking about even.
So it's the winner of the Nordic Council Literature Prize.
Cool.
We will talk more about this. I have to find the other volumes very soon. But and then the other one is I have Silo Book 2, which is called Shift by Hugh Howey, which I will also talk about. What are your 2 books?
My 2 books are Long Island Compromise by Taffy Brodesser-Akner.
Mm-hmm.
And my other book is Tell Me Everything by Elizabeth Strout.
There's a new Elizabeth Strout? When
Yeah.
does that come out? Let's start with that because I
September.
didn't even know about it. That's big time.
Oh, wait.
That must be something huge for the holiday
No.
season.
I thought it came out in September, but you know what? The galley is telling me it comes out in August sometime. So,
Damn.
Tell Me Everything. No, it comes out September 10th. So it must have changed
There we
since the
go.
galley was
Perfect for the holiday season. Nice.
Yeah,
new
no, I think
summer
she's,
for everybody to consume.
she's a regular fall appearance, well, nearly regular. So Tell Me Everything. It was Elizabeth Strout who wrote Olive Kittredge, and My Name is Lucy Barton. And this new book is in that world. So there are a
it's
lot
in
of
that
familiar characters. Yes. Lucy Barton is in it. Olive Kittredge is in it. It's set in the town of Crosby, Maine, which is where the characters kind of migrated during COVID. This is the story of Bob Burgess, who has, been in some of these. I haven't actually read all of them.
I haven't read them all at all. So
I think actually the last one I read was My Name is Lucy Barton, and there have been a number since then. I just couldn't keep up. But I kind of jumped in with this one to see if I could just jump in or would I be missing stuff? I felt like maybe I wished I had read some of the other ones, but
looks
I
like
could
the last
certainly
one was
keep
Lucy
up.
by the Sea.
Right. And then there's O. William. So those O. William, I believe, was about Lucy and her ex-husband, William, kind of getting back together, or that might have been in Lucy by the Sea. But, Lucy moved to Maine, and Bob Burgess is also kind of a transplant to this small town of Crosby, Maine. Olive Kittredge is in the nursing home in town, and people visit her and they tell stories. It's a strange book, I gotta be honest. I mean, I think if you're invested in these characters, you're gonna be pumped and like
Right.
you're kind of jumping in after being away for a while and, maybe having missed some stuff. Like, it's just feels a little like she's just telling these random stories. And like, I guess that's charming or whatever.
Right.
There's like a little bit of like darkness in there where you're kind of like, oh, okay. Like, I guess everybody's peeing themselves. And like, I don't know. There's just like a lot of like,
we're peeing
like
ourselves?
weird details about, I don't know. Like people are old or like, that always just seems to be like the like sad detail about somebody. I don't know.
Well, yeah, sure.
And then there is kind of this murder happens that like, but doesn't happen until pretty deep into the book. And then that becomes like part of like the through line of like, are we, finding out what happened in this murder case.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot going on, and it's an enjoyable read. I certainly had no problem finishing it. But, jumping in after a while, I'm not sure.
Disorienting.
It's a little disorienting.
Who is the other writer that I always get her confused about? And her last book was the awesome one about returning to the 90s as a 16-year-old.
Emma Straub?
Yes, I always get Emma Strout and Elizabeth Strout.
Interesting.
Yes. So when you were starting to talk, I was imagining, is it a follow-up to that awesome time travel book about the 90s?
We love that.
That book was amazing.
Yes.
But no. This is the
totally different
Kittredge person that I have zero interest in. Okay. That's, I have not seen the show. Have you seen the Olive Kittredge show?
I have not seen the show. I actually want to go back and read Olive Kittredge, the book. You get enough of like Olive in here that it made me curious, like, why is it so much? I think I would like to go experience that for myself.
Does Elizabeth Strout live in Maine? She's a Mainer now?
She does now, yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
I loved My Name is Lucy Barton. Like, I really loved that book. And this, to me, is a different animal. Like,
holy crap, she's married to Jim Tierney?
I don't know who that is.
He's an American lawyer, lecturer, and not the guy I was thinking of. I know a different Jim Tierney.
Okay.
I was like, wow. But he is the former Attorney General of Maine. I didn't know she was married to the former Attorney General of Maine.
I didn't either, but Bob Burgess in this book is a lawyer who takes on the case of the guy accused of this murder.
Oh, wow.
So there's some lawyerly stuff in here. So that makes a little bit of sense to me that she has some source material or whatever to work from. And the one thing I do like about the book is like they talk about some big things about like what's the meaning of life and like, the importance of just everyday people's stories. Like everybody's story matters is kind of a through line to the book. So yeah, there's some good stuff in here.
Yeah. Yeah, they're kind of a main power couple now.
Oh, for sure.
Crazy. Yeah. So wow.
Anyway,
learn something new every day. Wow.
Yeah, let's stop the live Googling. And why don't you tell us about your book? Am I going to be
annoyed by the Maine? Like, is it, do you feel as though Maine is done justice in these books or?
I mean, there's talk of, Lucy and William are transplants to Maine and they're like kind of well aware of that and trying to be respectful of that. And and Bob is also, transplant. And then Olive, I believe, is not, right? There are a lot of lifelong Mainers in the book. And there's a lot about just like the changing weather as you go through this winter. And it seems all very respectful.
Is it literary?
It's literary.
This is literary?
I would call it
light
popular.
literature?
Yeah, like it's not like super literary. But yeah, I think I found Lucy Barton to be much more literary, I guess. But I mean, I think it's certainly not like a plot driven book. And I think there is a lot of attention paid to like at the sentence level and appreciating the like moments and the natural beauty of Maine and all that kind of stuff. Okay. In the relationships, it's really about,
it's about the people ultimately. That's nothing else going on.
Character driven.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. I guess I'm going to save the one that I like a little bit. My transition is that actually I don't have a transition. This is as far away. So the transition is this book is nothing like the book you've just heard described. It is the second book in the Silo series. People might know the Silo series because it's an Apple Plus show now, I guess, which I actually kind of enjoyed, other than Common is one of the actors. And I think he might be maybe the worst actor that I've ever seen, like, get a job and be on a major thing. Like, it's shockingly bad how bad he is.
All right.
But he has like this really deep voice. And so he walks into, he's like, hey man, I'm doing a thing. And then somebody like, responds in a way that doesn't make any sense. But so this is, it's because this book is a little bit of a white whale for me in that I read the first book in the series, Wool,
Yes.
a long time ago, maybe 10 or 15 years ago. And I really enjoyed it. Hugh Howey, I think he's one of the kind of first like big breakout, like self-published stars. Like he kind of basically self-published on Amazon and got crazy popular and then transferred over to mainstream publishing. And Wool, this series of Silo, I think you could originally buy it as like one giant tome or whatever, but now it's 3 books.
They made it a tome at some point. I actually know a bit about this because my old company was his publisher for a little. Yeah, I bought the rights. I went to a panel that he was on with his agent about making that leap from self-publishing to traditional publishing. And he talked a bit about his success on Amazon, which he was kind of one of the first people, who figured out that using the keywords and just actually being as much a marketer as a writer. And he said he just wrote like a shitload of short stories and just kept putting those out and like working the keywords and seeing what he could sell. And like, if something was working, leaning on that. And then Wool was the first thing that like really hit.
Right. And I feel like he's a little bit of a guru for that self-publishing like universe. Like,
yes, he was making, he said he was making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. Like in those early days, like when it was working on Amazon, his paychecks from Amazon were in the 6 figures each month.
Must be nice.
Must be nice.
Yeah. So,
and then he went to live on a boat for a while.
And he's written a bunch of other stuff too. Beacon 23, Sand, Across the Sand, Halfway Home, Machine Learning, etc. He seems to be like a prolific guy. Lives in New York. But anyway, so you can often find book 1 in the series, Wool, in bookstores. And so it's one thing, whenever I go into a new bookstore, I always check to see if they have books 2 or 3, because they never do. And I've sort of told myself I'm not going to order this book, but if I ever come across it in a bookstore, I'm going to buy it.
Wow. So love it.
It's been like 15 years.
Great. So where did you find it?
I was in the Mystic bookstore, the one that is moving. So it's in Mystic, Connecticut. It's called like Bank Books or
Bank Street Books.
Bank Street Books. And they're moving, actually. I think they might be gone now. They're moving out of their amazing corner downtown location that gets incredible foot traffic that we would absolutely lay down in traffic for. And they are moving out to a weird strip mall in the middle of nowhere where they will get 0 foot traffic. And apparently there's a plan behind that I will not comment on. But I was looking through, and lo and behold, they have book 2, which is called Shift.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And it turns out really didn't need to buy this book in any way. The entire story of Silo is told in Wool, right? All of the interesting shit, right? And the first book is really cool because you discover the truth about the universe alongside the characters, right? So the conceit is you're in this bunker with a bunch of people. There is no outside world except for this.
You're underground.
You're underground. There is one window on the very top level where you can see out, and the world is a wasteland. And the death penalty in this society is that you are sent out to clean the window. So if you express any desire to leave, it's automatic death. And so if you say, I want out of this place, boom, you're arrested.
Yeah, you get to go. Outside you go, never
Right.
to come back.
And so you have no idea how these people wound up in this bunker or, what happened to the world or whatever. You learn about all those things with this main character who ends up discovering the truth. And it ends with the main character, making this big revelation, right?
Right.
So it turns out book 2 goes in and fills in all the blanks on how all of this shit came to be. And it's just like, it's like knowing everything that happened and like it's like reading a Wikipedia article and then clicking all the links, right? So like, I know everything that happened. Now this book goes and tells me how this senator conspired to make this thing happen and how this, shift leader, whatever, and how this thing went bad in this silo. And the whole time after every single chapter, I'm like, yeah, that's what I figured happened.
Okay.
Like there's no
no surprises really.
No surprises, and it's all just about the depravity of man, right? Like, it's a horribly cynical view of humanity. And there's one dude, there's always this one dude who's not evil, like all these other evil people. And, I guess maybe the non-evil guy wins at the end. I don't care. Because
it's still all like in the past. Like we're not moving the story forward.
Actually, I've just gotten to the point where I pick up with the events of book 1. Like, so I'm seeing the final events of book 1 from the perspective of someone else now. And like, it's like he's a good writer, but like what I loved about Will, I was like, this universe is totally new and different, and I don't learn anything new about the universe. It's just everything I thought. And it's just so depressing. I'm so
predictable.
I'm just done with dystopias, I guess. I should probably just not read dystopia because.
Have you read any of these like utopian books?
Well, those are not dystopias.
Right. Those are not dystopias.
Hope punks we've talked about. Yeah.
Right.
I think I need more hope punk because it's just like, I'm so tired of being told that like the human race is like miserably hopeless. Like I don't know if that serves. Like, we're all terrible.
I don't know. That could be a good segue into my next book.
Okay. Well, do you have a book that doesn't presuppose that we're all just going to murder each other for spoil? What's your book? Tell me.
Long Island Compromise I'm almost done with it. So, I'm not actually 100% done, but I freaking love this book. I've been kind of dragging it out. The audiobook is fantastic. Eduardo Ballerini is the narrator and he's just like a pro. He's really good.
That reminds me that I have a third book actually that you just reminded me of. Okay, but sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but the narrators of audiobooks is a topic we will discuss. Okay.
So Long Island Compromise, I just started it and I started to read a review, which I didn't finish, but the beginning of the review was like, okay, this book is actually like, I didn't realize it at first, but it's the great American novel. And now this has been stuck in my head.
It's the great American novel?
As I've been going through, it's like an entry, right? Like
something that wants to be the great American.
It wants to be. And I think like kind of does achieve that on some level. Like I think it is a really great book. And when I started it, I was not super into it. So the premise is based on a real story. There was a New York Times Magazine article by the author about kind of how this book came into being, which was based on this guy who was kidnapped on Long Island. And it was like her father's childhood friend or whatever. So she fictionalized the story. And so the, opening of the book is this guy getting kidnapped. He's from a super wealthy family. The family owns a factory. He's married with 2 kids and a third on the way. And he comes home from work one night and gets kidnapped. The wife pays the ransom. He's gone for like a week. She pays the ransom. They get him back. Right? Like that's not a spoiler. That's the opening chapter, basically.
Right. That's the setup.
That's the setup. And then the book is like decades in the future. The kids are now grown and they're all freaking disasters. Like, and it's
a family saga.
It's a family saga. And it's about how this trauma of the kidnapping, like ruined all of their lives, even though they're like super wealthy. But
and they got the guy back after a week.
They got the guy, their dad came back, but he was just never the same. they got some of the money back. There were people arrested for the kidnapping, but there's some lingering questions about like who was really behind it. Did they really like solve the case? So when I first start, like the first son is the youngest son. That's whose story you get first.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it just opens with this like prolonged like scene of depravity where he's, you know,
doing drugs and
just doing so many drugs.
Hunter Biden writ large. Yeah.
Exactly. And it just goes on. And I'm just kind of like, this is gross. And like, like blah, blah, blah. Come on. Mm-hmm. So but once we get past that, after the many pages of that, then it became super awesome. And you're just like,
super awesome.
Like the whole time you're just like, oh my God. But then it's like funny at times. I think it's like super well written. The characters are all super interesting. Like you are sort of rooting for them, even though they're just so broken and like whatever. I think there's a lot of great commentary on just like, you know, class and
the excess of the wealthy class.
Yes. And then like, what do like, you know, and then there's this whole thing about reckoning with the factory that they own, which makes styrofoam. Ooh. So yeah, like there's a lot going on and just like a lot
of moral bankruptcy to go around. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So it's just really good. And they're this Jewish family. There's a lot about, you know, what it means to be Jewish on Long Island during this time, all the times being covered, you know, it's just.
Does it make it to contemporary US or when does it like?
We're in contemporary. Yeah. Most of the time it's kind of contemporary.
Right.
You go back and forth.
When does the kidnapping happen? In the 50s?
In like the 60s?
Oh, okay. I was just picturing like the late 1800s or something.
Oh, no.
It's factory and stuff.
Yeah, no, I think like they opened the factory. You know, the grandfather escaped the Holocaust.
Oh, okay.
And moved to America.
So, yeah.
Worked in a factory.
Post-war.
Yeah. And then ended up buying that factory and kind of opening his own.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it's.
And then the son inherits it and it's the son who gets kidnapped.
Right. So it's the post-war period to the modern day. Yeah.
Yes.
Great American novel. I can hear that.
It's really excellent. And like immersive and engrossing. And
what's the author's name again? Say it again.
Taffy Brodesser-Akner.
And does she have other books?
Yeah, she wrote Fleischman is in Trouble, which was pretty celebrated and got turned into a TV
I remember
show.
That book. Yeah. Okay.
I didn't read that one, but a lot of the reviews are saying that this new book is better than that book, and that book was excellent. So I think, you know, I like the
title of that book. Yeah.
Yeah, I expect we'll see. I think it'll be on a lot of like best of the year lists and stuff like that at the end of the year.
Great. Let's talk a little bit about. So you listened to that book?
I did listen to it. Which at some point I was like, maybe I should be reading this. But then the narration was really excellent, and I was like laughing along and like whatever. So,
so I had a recent trip to go get my daughter, as everybody who's been listening to the podcast knows, lives in Canada and is a 4.5 hour drive up to Canada, and then pick her up and I can chit chat. But so all my podcasts are on hiatus at the moment because most of the stuff I listen to is like NBA stuff. I haven't found like a baseball one I like. And so I was struggling. I'm sick of my music right now for reasons that I don't want to go into. So I was like, I'm going to try an audiobook. And so
curious what you chose.
Well, I have Spotify, right? So I have all of the audiobooks available to me. And I was just trying to kill time. Like I didn't envision myself finishing this audiobook. I just wanted something to like accompany me on the way to Canada. And so, you know, like when you flip through, it doesn't give you very many good choices. Like all the choices that you get are like, for whatever reason, like the fantasy spam, kind of stuff. Like it's all these like dragon books. And I'm just like, who wrote this garbage? Like, I have no idea. Like you don't get the like literary world served up to you for whatever reason. So,
interesting. I'm wondering why Spotify, like what's in your algorithm that Spotify was like,
I assume they're just serving up the most popular things. So I've never looked at an audiobook on Spotify or whatever. And I'm also in the car. So I can only scroll through what's on the screen. I can't like search.
Oh, right.
Because I'm doing this like going 80 miles an hour.
While you're driving. Seems safe. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Car play. It's fun. Right. So the first thing I chose was Hum, because you said you had liked Hum. And that was like one of the popular options that I had heard
I will
of.
say I had a mixed review, but sure.
Right.
Yes.
You did. Well, yeah, you had a mixed review, but at least I knew what it was. I was like, this is a real book. Let's see. So it was narrated by Ariel Blake. I don't know if you've heard of Ariel Blake.
It's not ringing a bell.
I don't know. I lasted, I don't know, 2 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
And
sometimes it's just really bad.
No,
yeah.
Not listening to this. It was that like, and then she went to the store and there was things on the shelf. And I was like, no, I'm out.
You do have to, I listened at 1.3. If you listen at 1, it's like brutally slow.
Well, so I am. I mean, I don't know how to change the pace, but I was like, I can't, this is not going to happen. It's like someone was like whispering in my ear. I was like, no. So I came out, right? So, but I was thinking like, so then I was like, okay, like, I'm just going to go to sci-fi, right? Because I like sci-fi. So I went to sci-fi and I found James S.A. Corey's stuff was highly top, right?
The new one?
Well, so I had read the first one in the Expanse series because you gave it to me.
Right.
I don't remember what it was called now.
I know, I can't remember either, but he has a brand new series, a new book in a series that just came out.
Well, so I was like, I liked, the first one in the Expanse, and there's like 9 of them. And so I was like, okay, I'll know these characters. This will be great. So I found book 2. You scroll through, it tells you which one it is. I finally found book 2. You'd think book 2 would be high up, but like, no, because everybody's already done with that. So I found book 2. It's called Caliban's War by James S.A. Corey, which is actually 2 people, and I don't remember their names. I'm not going to look it up right now.
I didn't realize that.
It's a fake name. One of the dudes is George R.R. Martin's lead research assistant. I can't remember.
Oh my God. I had no idea.
Yeah, I can't remember the other guy's whatever name. Poor
other guy, but okay, yes.
Too bad. I don't remember either of them. But anyway, so I really like this like universe that they've created. It's a really cool like semi-near future where Earth has populated Mars and the asteroid belts and all that sort of thing, and there's like a lot of complicated like government and stuff. And then this alien technology slams into an asteroid and, they like the governments have to deal with it or whatever. And so Caliban's War is like after that first contact and like, now we're dealing with trying to keep this alien like in a bottle or whatever. And I listened to it all the way from, like 3 hours of it all the way.
Right.
Up, narrated by a guy named Jefferson Mays. Who, again, I don't know if you've heard of him or not, but he had this like kind of Britishy accent. And I was like, okay, I can listen to this. And
I will tell you that most of my favorite books are the ones narrated by
British people, right?
British people, yes.
Right. It's just like when you watch, for some reason, like my favorite version of Anna Karenina, the one with Jude Law in it, like, despite the fact that we're in Russia, everybody has a British accent. And hey, if we're in Rome, British accents for everybody.
Yes.
So I don't know what it is, but like, I think our like USian disposition believes to the British to be, more smart and literary or whatever. It's like some kind of like internal Napoleon complex or whatever. And so I listened to the whole thing and I actually quite enjoyed the experience. It was like it didn't put me to sleep. I was able to follow it. There were numerous accents that he did. And one of my favorite things is like when he would like butcher one accent and then be good at a different accent. And I was like, okay, you can do the Indian accent. Nice job. Right. You've got this Punjabi thing going on. Good for you. And then they would try to do like an American accent. It would be like ridiculous.
I think it's so fast. I cannot do accents. So to hear them occasionally slip seamlessly into other
Yeah, it's good.
accents. Like I find it so impressive and enjoyable.
Right. So, I'm not saying that I'm going to be listening to a lot of audiobooks because I just can't see myself listening to them in pieces in this way. Like, oh, I've got an hour in the car and now I'll listen to it or whatever,
Right. I mean, I'm in the car
Seems
every
like it
day
would take forever to finish a book. Like this book is...
It does take forever. And I do occasionally get frustrated. Like I have a 20-minute ride each way to work. So I'm doing, 40 minutes a day.
And some of these are like
books,
20 hours. It's like...
Yeah. Well, no, I try to avoid those because I'm like, nope, that's too long. It's going to take me too long and I'm going to get frustrated. So I usually try to do like 12 hours or fewer. And then occasionally I do get frustrated and I'm like, well, I'm going to fold some laundry so I can finish this book.
Kristen listens to them when she's knitting, that kind of thing, which I can see. I just don't have any, there's no time in my day that I'm looking to kill. So I just can't really see this happen.
Right. That's why podcasts are better because they're
20 minutes or 40 minutes or something,
and you haven't found a good other books podcast to listen to, apparently.
I've been looking and they're all horrible. I don't know.
Why aren't more people listening to ours?
Well, I mean, hey, everybody who's listening right now, you should feel good about yourself because every other books podcast is... That's every other one. And it makes me really sort of disappointed in the level of book discourse that is out there on the internet. But I'm going to tell you about your next favorite book, Hannah.
Oh, yes.
You need to read this book. It's the ARC is beautiful. I don't know what the hardcover will look like, but I think it's going to be like this little small format. It's like...
Yeah, it should be. It should be that same size.
It's a paperback. It's not a hardcover. It says it's paperback, 5 inches by 8 inches, and it comes out in November 2024.
And I believe this is a New Directions publication.
Yes,
am I right?
It is a New Directions publication. And so it's them. I don't know how I've never heard of this person, but the author is Solvej Balle. So Solvej, last name Balle. Was born in 1962 and made her debut in 1986 with Leirfugl and went on to write highly acclaimed, according to the law, 4 accounts of mankind. And she's Danish. She lives in... No? Sorry. It doesn't ever actually tell me. Just she lives in Scandinavia, apparently.
Okay.
I think it's
and she
Danish.
won some sort of Nordic prize.
Yeah, she won the Nordic Council Literature Prize. And so this book is apparently the grand opening of Balle's speculative fiction septology. There's apparently, I think that's 7, right? 7?
Yeah, that's 7. What I love is that it's nice and slim.
It's tiny.
The way they talk about it, you expect this giant volume, whatever. Yeah. They make it sound so big.
80, yeah. But it's just this little, 135 page book. And it's Groundhog Day, but amazingly literary. So it's a woman who wakes up on November 18th to find that it is the 2nd November 18th. And then it's the 3rd November 18th. And it's the 4th November 18th. And she can move around and wake up in different places. It's not like Groundhog Day where no matter where Bill Murray winds up, he always wakes up and hits the clock. So for her, time moves forward and she can remember all of the other November 18th. But for everybody else, they wake up and it's November 18th again. And they have no memory of their interaction with her. And it's this incredibly literary, psychological, smart examination of what that situation would be like. And so, she's in a hotel when it first happens. And so she goes back to her husband. And it's this really cool just treatise on love and how sad that she gets as she gets further and further away from her husband. And, her husband is always great. He always believes her and always tries to help her figure out what's going on. And they test it and they stay up until 5 a.m. and just, they can never stay together. There's always this someone falls asleep or something happens or something falls and she looks away and boom, he's gone. And, like the day resets. And so this first book, volume 1, now I got to go find volumes 2 through 7, I guess. I have no idea how I would go about that.
I feel like volume 2 is coming out at the same time, if I'm remembering from my ordering correctly, because I thought, should I order volume 1 or volume 1 and 2?
Well, you got to order volume 1 and 2. I mean, because it's in translation by this woman, Barbara Haviland.
Yeah.
So, like, are they going to translate all 7?
Are they doing all 7?
Are they translating the first 2? Like,
we're gonna have
because
to
it
do some
does end in
investigating.
something of a cliffhanger. Like, basically, this is the first year of November 18th. And at the end,
do you think the whole 7 books, or it's like all November 18th?
I think so. I don't know. But because it ends with her, she's speculating that maybe after this 1 year, that'll finally let her into November 19th. And so this ends with her like going to bed on like the 365th November 18th, hoping that she wakes up on November 19th. And it's only been like, she just had like a year in the wilderness or whatever. I'm assuming that she does not wake up on November 19th, and it continues on and we get more, it's just like, it's just an amazing way to explore human priorities and like our experience with time and how we age and what aging is and, what we value in our relationships. And it's just, the
cool.
translation is also really good, but you just like, it's all, it's kind of like her journal entries for each day. So the chapters are all really short. And it's like, this was my experience on this November 18th. She'll skip ahead 5 days and, whatever.
Right.
It's kind of the standard, like, she goes insane and then she comes back to Earth and whatever, it's very familiar as a sort of organization technique. But it's just a beautiful book. It's, it's
awesome. I'm excited about it.
And it's just like, it's what we've been talking about is, it's speculative fiction or whatever, but it's just a conceit to, do all the great things that literature does in terms of exploring the human condition and all this sort of thing. And it's not gimmicky. And I just like it. There's so many fun things like that, that you yourself would do. Like, let's test, like, how come the shit that I eat doesn't replenish, but other stuff does replenish, or, just like, and that's what's so torturous for her eventually is that, like, there is no rhyme or reason. There is no way to explain it, and it's just, it turns into like this really classic, like absurdist, it's surreal. There's no explanation for it. On the calculation of volume is just such a weird name. Like, I don't even know why that's the title.
Well, I did remember correctly that volumes 1 and 2 are coming out on the same day, which is November 19th. So I think the publisher's feeling very clever. Yes.
That is clever. Yeah. So that comes out on the day after. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I love that we've
probably
actually
no
read
one
it
will
now.
buy
So,
it.
right. No one's going to know, except thankfully now we do.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a really cool way to release it. I hope it gets some attention. This woman is clearly famous in Denmark, I guess.
Yeah. Do we know when it was originally published? Does it say that?
It doesn't really. She was born in 1962. She's not that old. Let me see. Copyright was originally 2020, translation copyright 2024.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so it was originally published by Telegraph as Undringing af Romfang 1. For all of you that speak Dutch.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. So I guess, it's new. It's 2020. So she's apparently written 7 volumes of this since 2020. That's pretty impressive.
That does seem impressive. But maybe the septology hasn't been completed yet.
Oh, that's possible. Yeah.
Planned septology. Yeah.
I love how...
We don't know.
This book is really good. It's really good. Best thing I've read in a
We're
while.
going to order more of them, so we have a big stack in the store.
Yeah, this would be great. And all of the books that I love, I bet if we totaled up all of the books that I have said that I've loved, the amount they've sold is very small, but that's all right.
Well, you're not in the store every day, like convincing people to buy them.
I know. I did sell one of the Keanu Reeves books when I was in the store.
I saw that. That was great because it was kind of just sitting there. Because It's like I know I can say, oh, my brother loved this or whatever. But like sometimes it's just not the same as you say, like you standing there being like, I love this.
Oh yeah. No, I sold the crap out of that Keanu Reeves. Although that's on the bestseller shelves.
It's not anymore, but.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just tell people if you're looking for the weirdest book, this is it.
That's great.
Some people like those weird books.
Sunday
was so encouraging. Like the Sunday that we were open, that we're never opening, like so many non-traditional customers came in, like so many people who were finding the store for the first time. And I think it was because we had all the ARCs out on the sidewalk and it was just drawing randos in. And like the first person, what book was it? Like the first person that grabbed an ARC off of the shelf came in and I was like, this book is perfect for you, dude. Cause they were like 23 and, I don't know what they were wearing, but it was like, they had an outfit on and I was like, what was the book they bought? It was something that I had read. It was one of the ARCs that I put in there and I was like, boom, you just nailed it. You're all set.
That's so
I
funny.
could tell it was the only time that he'd ever been in. He was just like, I saw this and I had to have it.
I feel like there have been a lot more new people this summer. Like just this summer, it's like people I've never seen before walking in, people coming in and saying they'd never been in. Actually, hilariously, at 5:15 on Saturday, when PS we close at 5, I was helping this woman who was like really putting me through my paces. She wanted a gift for an 81-year-old woman and she'd be like, I want this. And I was like, oh my gosh, we have the perfect book. And I'd show her and she'd be like, no, not that.
Not that.
And she'd be like, how about this totally other topic? And I'd be like, yes, here's this book. And she'd be like, no. So anyway, we finally found a book and I'm wrapping it for her. And she says, I live, like a town over, 2 towns over. I think she said, I've driven by this store almost every day since 1988, and this is the first chance I've had to stop in.
First chance. I've always been so busy. Wow. All right. Well,
in 36 years,
rich and full life, I would say.
It was so great. I was
no time for stopping into bookstores.
You've driven by every day for 36 years.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And she said she'd be back.
That's great. Yeah, I was really encouraged. We had late day. These 3 like 25-year-old women came in that were clearly like sunburned to shit from being on the beach all day.
Yeah.
And they were like walking around and I was like, oh, you guys were at the beach? And they're like, yeah, we're on the beach. This place looks great. And I like that when we bought the store, I was like, man, in the summer, there is just going to be hordes of people that spend all day at the beach and they're, looking to kill some time before dinner and they're going to roll in here. That was the first time it's ever happened that I've been in the
Oh, so, I see beachgoers often.
You're in there a lot more often. But I was like, this is it. This is the dream scenario. 3 25-year-old women.
We did it.
In beach gear. They each bought a book. Like, this is crazy.
It's so fun.
Yeah, we had fun conversation, Also, and I also had this very literary couple of young women come in. And one of them was very snobby. She was a big Jane Austen fan, it turned out. So she actually challenged me. Like,
oh wow.
We had a little Jane Austen off where, I needed to, she's like, well, what's your favorite scene? Because I told her about how like my senior paper was about Jane Austen. She's like, what was the topic? And I was like, it was on the role of food in Jane Austen's novels and how it proved that she had Marxist leanings. She's like, oh, really? Like, what would be an example? I was like, oh, well, the picnic scene in Emma. And I had to then I went through that. And I was like, you'll remember that it was followed by the, carriage rape scene. And she was like, what? I was like, well, she's not actually raped, but if you read this as a rape allegory, and she was like, oh, I've never thought of it that way. I was like, okay, all right. Now
so you proved yourself.
Right. But so I proved myself. But that was after the first challenge, which was she looked at our bestsellers table and she said, all of these books are awful.
Wow.
It's actually on that bestsellers table.
Yes.
And I started with the Keanu Reeves book, actually. I was like, this Keanu Reeves book is excellent.
Yeah.
But I was like, she's going to be back? She's going to be back?
I think she will be. I'm sure you impressed her.
Yes. The snobbish girl. Mm-hmm.
And if you move past the bestseller shelves, there's a lot of interesting things.
That's true.
Which I wonder, do you remember what she bought?
She bought something off the classic shelf. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, see, sorry. I find that uninteresting a little bit, unless it was a really interesting classic, which we do have some. So never mind.
No, it was like, one of those nice copies we have or something.
Okay.
Like she's of that generation, the the Gen Alpha kids, they, as you know, buy books as keepsakes. So
right.
it has to be like really nice.
Which I totally appreciate. I think, I know people, I'm not saying this woman is this, but there are people who are like, oh, I don't read anything new. I just read all the old stuff because that's,
because that's the good stuff.
That's the good stuff.
Yeah, which is obviously ridiculous.
Right. I'm like, you think there's nothing good? But like, I guess maybe they're just kind of waiting for it to all shake out. Like I want to.
Yeah. I mean, the selection bias on the old stuff is huge, right? Like it's still around because someone thought it was good. But, there are, I just don't, if you believe that literature is about exploring the human condition, why would you only want the opinion of people who've been dead for 150 years on the human condition? Like, the human condition is massively different now. And you should want people to grapple with what the frick we do
what
with
is happening
cell phones
right
and
now.
the internet and whatever.
Yeah.
And, those people, that's exactly, the calculation of volume. Like, it's just like, our total connectivity does not keep us connected. It's just,
I saw,
something
I was reading something, last episode I talked about Margot's Got Money Troubles by Rufi Thorpe. And I was reading something after that episode, someone saying like, this book is like, so now, like it's the most now book that they've read in a long time. And I was like, yeah, that's totally true. Like where else are you going to read about OnlyFans and the way she talks about how they use their phones and just like technology is so integrated.
Same thing with that banal nightmare, right? Like that banal nightmare, like right now, like it is exploring like what it is to live in the world right this second. Like, and that's what we're supposed to want. That's what I feel like we're due for a great way, like all the David Foster Wallace generation. I feel like we haven't had like a active and challenging literary scene in a while, because books got commodified. But at some point, I feel like all the for a little while, a lot of super interesting writing went to the internet because there was no barriers there. And remember how exciting blogs were in the early 2000s, and that all disappeared because it got commodified. But I think people are coming back to books with their interesting shit because they realize it's still the best information delivery system that we've figured out.
Totally. Because maybe there's a lot of writing hiding behind Substack firewalls or whatever. Like, I'm not going to
find it. Yeah, I don't know. And I don't want to pay everybody $3 a month to figure it out.
No, thank you. I will wait until you publish the book.
Exactly. When you have your Substack greatest hits book come out, maybe I'll take a look at it.
Yes.
All right. I think we have exhausted our agenda for today.
And rambled on some after that.
Right.
Yeah.
We have a big event coming up of any kind? Or can we talk about our brewery event?
We should talk about the brewery event. Like, let's, get on those calendars. It's October 4th. Friday, October 4th, we are doing our first boozy book fair. Which,
baby.
For, the scholastic book fairs of your youth, we are recreating for adults. There will be beer because the event is going to be held at True North Ale in Ipswich.
Cool.
And we'll be there with tables full of super cool books and maybe some little eraser pencil toppers or whatever you used to have fun buying at scholastic book fairs. You can buy them.
Whatever the adult equivalent of those things are. I don't know, maybe like cat stickers or something.
Well, there will be some cat stickers.
I bet there will be. It's only slightly ironic that neither of us consume alcohol anymore, and we were doing this event at a brewery. I would like the next one potentially to be at one of Massachusetts' many cannabis stores. How about we have a weed and Boozy Book Fair, Weedy Book Fair. We'll have to come up
We're
with
gonna
some.
work on that
we'll have
title.
to come up with some alliteration
Yeah.
for that as well. But you know, we got to try some things out.
Totally. But I'm excited about it.
October 4th, put it on your calendars.
The
Come
Friday
out,
night, I believe 5 to 8 p.m. We'll have it up on the website.
socialize.
By the
with
time you
other
hear
book
this.
lovers. Yeah.
Sure.
I'm sure we'll get it up on your next tab. And look for a brand new website soon too. That'll be exciting.
That will be exciting.
Any day now. I'm totally gonna do that work.
Totally gonna tackle it.
100%. All right, everybody. Until next time, we'll see you later.
Thanks for listening.